The highly anticipated presidential summit on gender-based violence and femicide in a bid to determine a roadmap to end the scourge. President Cyril Ramaphosa announced that a national summit on gender-based violence would be held between government and civil society during the National Women's Day commemoration in August. Meanwhile, today, the CRL Commission is this morning briefing the Parliament portfolio on women in the Presidency on the abuse of women and children by the religious sector. Now, to tell us more about the upcoming gender-based violence and femicide conversation, we're now joined in studio by the Commissioner Tamara Mathebula from the Commission on Gender Equality. Commissioner, thank you so much for making the time to come through. Let's talk about the gender equality effort and how it fits into the entire process.
Thank you, Desiree, and thank you for having me here at the studio this morning. And I would like to say hi to your listeners out there. Basically, what is happening right now is that we are, as a country, collectively, for the first time, hosting a gender-based violence summit. And it's not only gender-based violence, but it's femicides as well. And where the Commission fits into this whole entire thing is that, first of all, we've been part of the planning of this summit, which is the first thing. But if you look at our work and how we were established as this Commission for Gender Equality, we were established in terms of Section 181 of the Constitution to make sure that we monitor what is happening around the country and make sure that democracy is upheld. So for the past 5 years, the Commission has spent a lot of time dealing with issues of gender-based violence. And again, what has been happening is that we have realized that we've been dealing with these issues in silos. A lot of things and research work to inform evidence-based programming as well as planning and budgeting around gender-based violence is the work that has been done by the Commission for Gender Equality. But we have a lot of departments that are dealing with this. For an example, the Department of Social Justice, Department of Social Justice and Constitutional Development, Department of Education, Department of Health, Department of Social Development. But also we have a lot of NGOs as well that are doing work around addressing issues of gender-based violence.
And it's different.
But it's different.
Emphasis. How have you found the benefit in collaborating with different other institutions and organizations?
I think for some time we have been able to actually come together and form platforms where we can sit and say, what have you done? And then we can compare notes in terms of what the constitutional development has done in terms of looking at the legislative and some laws that will actually rectify and make sure that there are laws that are basically looking at addressing issues of gender-based violence. The SABC, for an example, are actually coming on board to say, this is how we will deal with issues of gender-based violence, this is how we will deal with issues of violence against women, but also looking at the whole issue of crime. Because if you look at gender-based violence these days, it's not only gender-based violence that we know, it has changed in shape and size. Women are killed, young girls are killed.
It's getting worse,
these
Commissioner,
days.
in your research, in your conversations, why do you find it is that South African men feel so entitled to women?
First of all, I think it comes a long way. If you look at the definition of gender-based violence in itself, you will see that it's actually about power. It's about power relations, and it's about gender as well. In 2018, this is still continuing, but you will find that a lot of efforts have happened in terms of empowering women, and we have left men. We have empowered young women. We have left young boys. And again, what we are also now trying to do with a lot of NGOs and government departments is to say, let's look at how we can better empower boys as well. I remember Deputy Minister Bukhopane Zulu had a meeting with boys in the East Rand. And this is one of the initiatives that we are trying to do in terms of addressing boys. So there is a lot of research work. There is information that we have, but we know that a lot of young men grow up from families that are, don't have two parents. Yeah. For an example, we know that there is high intake of drugs, substance abuse these days. All of these things are contributing.
That throws a spanner in the works.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
How has the Commission responded to the trial of Timothy Omotosho? I know you are innocent until proven guilty, but developments have been what we've seen, and some of the testimony that has come out of there. What has been some of your conversations?
We have played a very critical role in terms of looking at how the whole case was handled. First of all, it affects young women, young girls, and some of them really are not as brave enough as Cyril was. But you will find that the role that we have played was to actually provide support and supporting these witnesses up to the court. We have been to courts and we are still going to go to courts even today to become friends of courts, to advise and to make sure that the whole process is taken well and we prevent secondary victimization. This is something that we have seen when Cyril was interviewed, and we have actually lodged complaints through the Department of Justice to say, can we look at making sure that witnesses that come on board are not secondary victimized as Cyril was. So we are out there issuing statements, we are out there questioning how the cases are handled, but CGE is really out all the way in terms of making sure that we provide this kind of support.
How are you interacting with the law? Because all indications now are that the case could now change focus and change tack and focus on whether a judge is credible or not in terms of handling the case. And we might lose sight of the reason why it started to begin with.
You are right. You are very right. Actually, what we have done is to collaborate with CRL, and we are working together to make sure that the case is actually handled in a manner that will satisfy almost everyone. I know that the judge's view of handling things has changed, and we are saying that we need to protect almost everyone in terms of making sure that this case is handled properly, and justice is not delayed and justice is provided.
There is so much to say about gender issues, and you and I completely got sidetracked, but we're here to talk about the summit. We said in our link that the President promised during Women's Month, but he also promised when the total shutdown, hashtag total shutdown went through to the union buildings, and they wanted to talk to him personally, and he said we need to put together some sort of conversation, and this is the outcome. What's going to happen?
Desiree, look, this is very important, and you are quite right. This was announced during the Women's Month, and it's exciting that this summit is actually taking place during the month and the year where we are celebrating our legends, Nelson Mandela and Mama Albertina Sisulu. So it's taking place at the dawn of the 16 days of activism and many other campaigns, 365 days campaign. So it's quite an exciting time for all of us, and it's announced by the President, it's led, and we have the political buy-in. So this is quite exciting. So what is going to happen is that we are expecting more than 600 people that will attend this conference from government departments, from civil society organizations, lawmakers, policymakers, all in one room discussing, debating, and we will be looking at key thematic areas. First of all, the first one that we think we need to look at is the prevention. How has the prevention been? What have we been doing right and wrong? And if we feel that our prevention programs have not been targeted, have been inclusive, including everyone, we need to now begin to target them to include certain individuals and certain groups like LGBTIQ communities and young women.
Tamara, we will be unpacking the process as it unfolds, but quickly the details, the dates, and where to go.
Thank you very much. We are having the conference. Some of the sessions have started today, but the conference is officially opening on the 1st of November, and it will take place the whole day on the 1st and the 2nd of November. We will then close and make sure that we have recommendations that we take, and we have a plan that we come out with after we have done some discussions in those different commissions. And what we will be happening is that the conference will take place outside Pretoria in St. George's. There is a Peak Hotel just outside in Irene, St. George's Hotel. This is where the conference will take place starting in the morning of Thursday.
Thank you so much for making the time to come through to talk to us.
Thank you.
Tamara Mathebula is the Commissioner at the Commission for Gender Equality.
Thank you.